Hey friends, happy Monday, the 6th of May, Monday of the 6th week of Easter. It's nice to be with you. I'm Father Bill Hill, priest at Holy Spirit Catholic Community in Rock Springs, Wyoming. I will share with you a reflection on the daily readings. The readings are linked down below. Click the link, read the readings prayerfully, and then turn off the screen. Spend some time with God before you move on to other things. Pentecost and the end of Easter season is less than 2 weeks away. Isn't that crazy? The 40th day of Easter is Thursday, when the Ascension was traditionally celebrated. In this part of the world, that gets transferred to Sunday. But I hope that you are still rejoicing a lot in these last 2 weeks of Easter time. Ask for your prayers. A seminarian who was in the parish with us last spring, Lee Noel, is going to be ordained a deacon in Casper at St. Patrick's Catholic Church on Friday. So please be praying for Lee as he gives his life to the Lord. This is when he takes the promises of celibacy and obedience. And prayer as well. So he will be ordained a priest in 2025, God willing. But this is when he gives his life to God through the church and through the life of ordination. So please be praying for Lee. I know we have folks that jump on from other places as well. Pray for seminarians and those to be ordained in your own dioceses and religious communities as well. Great, thank you very much. Acts of the Apostles and John's Gospel today. Acts of the Apostles, pay attention to the pronouns. We have just switched in the Acts of the Apostles from they and he to we. Technically, we picked this up at the very end of the reading on Saturday, and I forgot to draw our attention to it. But now it is we, which is generally assumed to be that this has just switched from Luke describing the activities of Paul, that Luke is now following Paul, accompanying him on his missionary journeys. And Luke is now providing firsthand eyewitness accounts of the missionary work of Paul. We have a description of his work in the community of Philippi. This becomes Paul's favorite community, right? That doesn't mean Paul stays there. Paul continues on sharing the good news with other places because that's the reason that he's been called. But this does seem to be the Christian community that most has his heart. Paul goes outside of the city. So that means that there's no synagogue in this city because the community of Jewish folks is too small. So when that community is too small, and I can't remember what that number is, 20 or less, I think is that's very vague, very hazy in my memory. Then they would gather outside of the city gates near perhaps running water. And there would be study of the Torah and prayer on a Saturday morning. So that's where Paul and his disciples go. And there is a small group that meets there, including this woman, Lydia. She's a Gentile, but she's a Gentile that is closer to Judaism than just a regular Gentile. She's a worshiper of God. And she's listening. And the word of the Lord stirs her heart. Now, the thing to pay attention to, I know that we don't care that she's a cloth merchant, purple dye. This is a big deal. She is selling one of the great luxury items in the ancient world, purple cloth. Whatever the luxury item is today, she's a seller in executive jets or something like that. That's what purple cloth was. And so she is a woman of importance and money. And she shares that open-handedly. Open-handedly she's received, open-handedly she gives. And she extends hospitality to Paul and to all of his missionary disciples, missionary accompaniers. And just be mindful, the household in the Greco-Roman world was 60 to 90 people. And Lydia is the head of this household who is able to extend hospitality to Paul and to those who accompany Paul on his journey. How's the Lord inviting us to be generous like Lydia in these days? And then the flip side of it, how's the Lord inviting us to accept generosity? And especially, maybe if you're like me, right? Independent, self-sufficient, go your own way. Oh yeah, it can be good, right? Accepting other people who want to bless us and care for us. That may be the challenge of the good news for us today. All right, the gospel. We hear about the advocate. We heard about the advocate, a week ago, maybe a couple weeks ago, We're going to be hearing more about the Advocate as we move towards Pentecost, right? This is the third person of the Holy Trinity, the Holy Spirit, the Paraclete, the one who defends us in the great trial as the accuser brings accusations against us. This is the Advocate who stands and answers on our behalf. Perhaps we simply pray into the goodness of God and ask for God's blessing and God's goodness in the power of the Holy Spirit, not worrying about what comes next, but indeed trusting that the Lord has plan and purpose for us, even if it's, ways that we don't understand, like being expelled from the synagogues and people thinking that killing is the worship of God that's expected, all of that. That the Advocate would be the greatest power, the greatest one, that we would have that divine energy flowing within us, the Holy Spirit. All right, friends, read those readings prayerfully. Turn off the screen. Spend some time with God before you move on to other things. Happy Monday. Happy start to the work week. Pray for folks that are having a hard time. God bless y'all.